Well, just from our great camera shot on the start tower, you can just see the crews being marshaled for the next race. It's the boys' second quadruple sculls J16 category. And you can see the way in which the marshals are bringing the crews in from the right-hand side of the lake. They describe a U-bend, and then you can just see how they get underway. And the timing point is about 100 meters in. There's a little cluster there on the bank of the officials who are registering those start times, and then it's off down the full length of the Olympic Lake here at Eton Dorney, all the way down to the finish. And we're able to bring you the split times as they proceed. Now, of course, with just 6 crews in this next event and 6 places in the A final, what's that all about, you might say? And well, there's a parallel here with the international field where we have so-called races for lanes. So where there are 6 or fewer entries in an event, there will be a preliminary race, and that will determine which lanes each crew draws for the final when they have a crack at the trophy. And in rowing terms, it's the crews with the fastest times draw the favored center lanes in 3 and 4. Why are they favored, you might say? Well, in that instance, you have the chance, if you're in the lead, as you fully expect, to be able to see the rest of the field on either hand. Whereas if you're in an outside lane, you're less able to get a direct view of what the crews on the far side of the course are doing without turning right around. And when you take your eyes out the boat, as they say, then that leads to reduced concentration on the way in which you apply the stroke yourself. And that could make you slower, which is the last thing you want. Okay, well, we appear to be underway, so let's just get a catch-up on the splits for those early crews. And King's School Chester were first off the blocks, reached the first intermediate timing point, 1:28.7, just 16 hundredths of a second faster than King's College School. Really great view of the start pontoon there in your shot. Now, of course, even when when we're allowed spectators here at the Olympic Rowing Lake, it's not often you get a chance to see the start mechanism close up, and you can see the. We'll come back to that in a minute, because right now we're looking further down the course, and I can say that 4 of the crews have now started, and it's Marlow who appear to be setting the pace. Marlow, the 4th crew to get underway. They hit the first intermediate timing point in a very fast 1:23, some 5 seconds faster than King's Chester. But they, in turn, have been eclipsed by Sir William Borlase, who appear to be the pace setters. Alex Stevens, Edward Ridley, Tassila Issa and Alex Coe making up the Borlase crew on this occasion. And you can see that from our camera with the long lens at the finish line, we can see the leading contenders just coming into view there, coming out of the early morning mist here at Eton Dorney. King's School Chester to the right of your shot in the white tops. King's College School in the dark strip over on the left-hand side, and Magdalen College School there in the red tops, just disappearing behind King's College School there. In the foreground, crew 127, well, that's obviously an 8. They're doing a little bit of negotiation on their way to the start for the next time trial. That's the yeah, 127, Wimbledon High School. So that's their J16 girls 8. So there's a continual procession of crews making their way up to the start for these time trials while the crews actually racing. So King's College School there leading Magdalen College School Boat Club. got to say that having witnessed the high standard of racing yesterday, and we saw some really close races as well, but many of the schools, despite the challenges of lockdown and the restrictions that we all know about, they've been making excellent use of their limited time on the water. And for many of those crews, it didn't look as though they'd been off the water much at all. A very high standard of rowing and a very high standard of racing. We're just approaching the finish line now. I don't know if our camera can pan round to get the crew in the white strip. Just inside the last 100 meters, that's King's School Chester. And then they're followed, as I mentioned earlier, by King's College School. Yes, there we go. This is our camera looking across the finish line. You can just there see in the distance King's School Chester, through 111, Finley McCormick, Jacob Baker, Weston Heller, and William Bocek. And they have finished in a time of 7 minutes 20 seconds. So that's the marker. But comparing their intermediate times with the rest of the field, I suspect they're going to be one of the slower qualifiers, because all 6 of these J16 quads will qualify for the A final. This, as I mentioned earlier, is simply to determine the lane order when they race for the trophy later on this afternoon. King's School Chester come home in 7 minutes 20 against King's College School at 7:21. Magdalen College School in the black and red strip now, inside the last 100 meters. I suspect that they're going to be no faster than the 2 contenders who've already crossed the finish line. And meanwhile, the crews behind them really are powering down the course. Magdalen College School there, the klaxon goes there, and yep, 7:37. So they're the back markers, I think, in this event. Here's Marlow in the red tops. A little bit of a finishing sprint there from Marlow. And then we've got a private race on our hand between Windsor Boys School in the green and Sir William Borlase, who, as I mentioned earlier, have been sculling the fastest splits. And so fast for Sir William Borlase that they have overtaken Windsor Boys School. No, there the klaxon goes. So the field has now been complete for these J16 second boys quads. And the unofficial result, really no surprise. So William Borlase recorded the fastest time. Wow, 6:47. That is 13 seconds faster than Marlow, who in turn was 7 seconds faster than Windsor Boys. Then another 13-second margin to King's School Chester, followed by King's College School, and Magdalen College School were the slowest. So there is a massive 50-second spread across the 6 crews in the time trial. But don't forget that racing in a time trial is a completely different kettle of fish from side-by-side racing. So it'll be interesting to see how that result is mirrored when they same 6 race side-by-side for the trophy in this J16 second quads.